is the season of pumpkins. And here is another craft variation of the magnificent pumpkin. I saw this Mackenzie Childs pumpkin for $119 and I wanted to replicate it because I don't have $120 just to go and buy one pumpkin. I have to interrupt this introduction because when I finished with the pumpkin, I wasn't too happy with it. But I decided to show it to you because you may like it. And most importantly, if you see the mistakes I made, you can save some time and money. Also, by chance, I came up with another way of decorating a natural pumpkin. So stay with me because in this video, not only I'm going to show you how to make one pumpkin or two, but 3 different natural, rustic, beautiful pumpkins. Now, let's get back with the first version of the Mackenzie Childs Dupe. These are the supplies you need. I went to Hobby Lobby and Michael's, and yes, they have these half round balls of wood, but they're like $4 to $5, and I can only find bags of 15 to 20 of these beads. And I went to Amazon and they had a bag of 100 for $10. This is a pumpkin that I got at Michael's. I think it was $5 with a discount. For this project, I decided to work with a smaller size of pumpkin. I decided to remove the stem because if you leave the stem, when you cover the top of the pumpkin with your beads, it's gonna get lost in there. So I decided to remove it, and then later on, I'll put it back in. Now for the first row, it's very important you have the right circle in there because you want to have it big enough so it will cover the top, but not too small that this is going to be very high up, or that one of the beads is not going to be in a perfect circle. Once you get that one, we are going to work around scattering all the rest of the beads. Make sure your pumpkin is also a color that it doesn't show. Like for example, if it's a dark orange, go ahead and spray paint it beige, white, or a color that will match your bead. I decided to, once I had the top going, to go ahead and do a straight line with the beads and then stagger them on each side because it was getting a little bit complicating. You see in there is a big bold spot and I don't want that. So once you have a side that you like, I'm going to go about that way. So unfortunately with 100, I didn't get to cover the whole pumpkin. I am going to have to go to Hobby Lobby and get more of the beads. The other thing is I will recommend even a smaller size because with a smaller size, you will not have these openings that are so visible in between beads. One, I think. Let's see if it stands straight. There we go. Perfect. Now I am going to change the stem. I am going to take it to the next level. I am going to make my own. But this is how it looks with the pumpkin from Michael's and the beads, and I have leftovers. I have how many? 17. So I used approximately 120 of these half wooden balls to make this one. Let me tell you the mistakes I made. Mistake number one is the pumpkin. This pumpkin, instead of being just plastic, it has like a coating. So if you wanted to remove one of these wooden beads and reposition it, you pull part of the pumpkin out. So try to get a cheap plastic pumpkin so you can easily glue and unglue it. That was the other thing. I put a lot of glue on the first ones. You don't need that much. Maybe later on to reinforce it. That way, again, if you need to remove a bead to cover a bold spot, it will be easier. And the other mistake is I would have gotten smaller beads. These are the 25 millimeters. Maybe a 20 or 15 millimeters would have been better, because the smaller the beads, the more you cover your pumpkin. So keep that in mind. But still pretty cute. We'll see how it looks with a new stem. As I was filming the introductory video and dropped all those beads over the table, when I was collecting them, an idea hit me. Not literally, but I saw this acorn on the floor, and I remember there is a home in our neighborhood that has all these acorns in the front yard and the sidewalk. Now to get acorns for my next pumpkin. But when I got there, disaster. They decided to clean the sidewalk. Oh no. Well, I guess I'll get what they have. I was able to collect a lot in the grass where the mowing machine didn't break them. Some of them were broken, but I got a good harvest. I'm going home as a happy squirrel. For this pumpkin, I wanted something dark to match the acorns, but it's too dark. So what I'm going to do is take it apart and use acrylic paint to match the color. Before I paint the pumpkin, I made a patch because the opening is rather big and I do wanna glue acorns all the way to the top. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of hot glue and patch this up. To paint this is where I got the patch from. I am going to use this, was done for some other project, I don't know, but I'm gonna hold that. Let me put a little bit more glue in there. I'm gonna hold the pumpkin on that stick to make it easy for me to paint. We are almost done. We're gonna let this dry. I am washing the acorns because they were on the ground. Choose which side of the acorn you want to show. I decided this end since it looks more like the hobnails from the Mackenzie Childs inspiration piece, but I believe the other side will look stunning as well with this deeper coloring. I have already started this pumpkin with the acorns, and it's easier to match because the different sizes of the acorn help you fill in those areas where they're a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. Now, I don't know yet how I'm gonna finish at the bottom. I'm leaving a little bit of a area so it sits like that. I don't know if I'm gonna go all the way around yet, but I'll let you know later on. I'll work in a single straight line. And the good thing about the acorns is that since I have different sizes, I can scatter them, use different sizes to cover those bald spots. The other great thing about acorns is that they are free. And if you have little ones, this is a great project to work together as a family and make several of them for your Thanksgiving table. And the last one, let's see, we'll make it fit. It's getting dark, day 2. There we go. And I was going to cover the bottom, but I decided not because I like the flat look. If I do the bottom, I'm scared that, not scared, but if I do the bottom, it might look too much like a round ball instead of a flat pumpkin. So I'm gonna leave that. And all I have to do is glue the stem the other way around. But this is not a stem worthy of this beautiful pumpkin. So of course, what am I gonna do? I gotta fix it. I don't like this tail ending here, so I'm trying to cut that off. Also, if you don't have a stem that you like, I made a video with 4 different methods using pipe cleaners, paper mache, and that result is amazing, especially the pipe cleaner with a glue gun. And I'm gonna combine that method a little bit right now. So what I'm doing is attaching a little bit more wire. Okay, so let me first attach that wire to the stem, and I am trying to make more ribs, more pronounced ribs. It's kind of hard to do this in the angle so I can show it in the camera, so pardon my shaking. Can you see it well? Yes. So we are building little by little different layers with the hot glue. Okay, let's do this. So notice it's not pretty right now. I did remove as much as I can of the little strings from the glue gun. Now I'm gonna spray paint it. And look at this. Do you see how gnarly it is? Still wet, so I can't. But beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. For this second version of the Mackenzie Childs dupe, I got smaller half wood balls. I think they were 12 millimeters instead of 25 millimeters. You need close to 500 pieces depending on the size of your pumpkin. I used the same size of pumpkin as for the first version. Just remember the inspiration pumpkin was made with hobnails or tacks instead of wood beads. Hobby Lobby has tacks, but you will need close to 500 to 600 for this size of pumpkin. So it can get a little bit expensive. You can find them cheaper on Amazon. For this version of the pumpkin, I decided to choose one of the vertical lines or ridges of the pumpkin and just glue the beads in that order. It is so much easier to complete this pumpkin because since the beads are smaller, they fit together much better. It does take a little bit longer because you're gluing 500 or more pieces to this pumpkin. This is how much you can cover with 200 beads. Almost a half of the pumpkin. And now let's see the finished project. It is just so beautiful, and I really like the look. It is very, very similar to the Mackenzie Childs one. I did not put the acorn on the top as in the inspirational piece because since I have a very nice stem, I wanted to look more natural. But if you wanted to replicate this look exactly, Hobby Lobby and Michaels have wooden acorns that you just can paint and embellish, and it will be almost 100% identical as the Mackenzie Childs piece. Beautiful pumpkins, very natural, very organic. I can say, how about they have a rustic elegance to it? And remember, until we see each other next time, let's make something wonderful together. And if you haven't done so, remember to subscribe.